Hey, everybody. Fascinating chat lined up today with a global powerhouse in customer experience at C1. Mark, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How about you?
I'm doing great. Dog days of summer here, but nice to connect. And for those who may not be familiar with C1, give us an overview, a little bit about the history, your role at C1 and your mission.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, C1, formerly known as Converge One, has been around for about 32 years. Started really
Hmm.
kind of in the 90s as an Avaya partner, NACR, if you're knacker, as the term goes. And really kind of hit steam 2014, 2015 when we started doing a lot of acquisitions. So we grew from about a 200 million company to 1.8 billion in about 9 years. Mostly through inorganic growth. But really kind of focused mainly on how do we dominate the contact center space, but also knowing that without infrastructure, security, data center, and some of that, we're missing part of the puzzle. So it wasn't that our acquisitions were 100% all around just contact center and collab and UC. It was really, infrastructure and security as well. I'm the CTO here, and a little bit different than most. I think if you were to say what is Converge One, I think most would say we're sometimes a VAR, but more a solution provider, solution integrator, really getting into managed services. A lot of pro services. 60% of our revenue comes from services, so we're very heavy in that. And what that really tells me is that we're not out there just to sell something to a customer. We're really there to bring a solution to a customer. And in the contact center space, that's radically important because just buying technology doesn't do that much for them. So my team really leads up all the R&D. So everything that we've done around products, services, solutions, things that we would kind of brand under our intellectual property. It really is under me. So a lot of R&D development, software and quality people. So.
Fantastic. And yeah, you don't hear about your typical VARs, resellers, MSPs having R&D or indeed having a CTO. That sounds
Exactly.
like quite a unique value proposition. So tell us about that. What's your unique perspective on this market, and how do you kind of differentiate yourself versus all the resellers out there?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's something that we run into and kind of have to walk customers through, because I think if you look at who we're compared against, most of them are fairly reseller. They have a very small amount of services at best, some pro,
Mm.
probably not a lot managed, but we heavily have invested in the life cycle with our customers, mainly because in a contact center world, as an example, selling software, if it's a one and done, you're not part of the solution. You're not part of the, really what our customers are trying to get to their customers, patients, students. So really our focus on how do we deliver, the pro, the managed, and as well as cloud solutions out there, cloud services, really is key to how, we can really be effective and be the thought leader with our customers, rather than just kind of, I think what a lot of our competitors are doing is listening to their vendor and bringing it forward.
Mm.
We have a little tagline here at C1 that we call agnostic with preference, meaning that when
Mm.
we go in and talk to a customer, yes, we're very well versed. We're usually partner number one or two of anybody in the top 50, and because of that, we do have the ability to bring the right solution to our customers instead of always bringing in the manufacturer hammer and treating everything like the manufacturer now, right?
Yes, that's it's been a relationship that's changing and evolving. And maybe talk about innovation, some of your own solutions that you innovate around, and things that you might be developing. How are you looking to impact and truly add value to clients?
Yeah, it's an interesting journey, because if you go back, let's say to the 90s in contact center, it was exciting to have a digital phone before voice over IP, right? So there
Still
wasn't a
is to
lot of.
some, but yes, yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't a lot of technology, but it was, a lot of, how do we solve things for customers in a different way, or how do we make the technology do something more? So if you go all the way back to the 90s, it was a voice world. It was, TDM voice. What would we be able to do with our customers with voice that might be interesting? But as that has evolved, we got into multi-channel, and multi-channel was bringing in digital instead of just voice. And, we had email, we had some SMS back when we had to pay for SMS. And web chat was barely a thing. And so, what has evolved over the time, though, which is interesting, is Omni-Channel kind of came onto the scene, right? And, Omni-Channel by, some definitions is, if I had something in my shopping cart and I went to call a call center agent, the call center agent would know that I have something in my shopping cart, which sounds really awesome. On the napkin, I could draw that for you 100 different ways to Sunday, but that's the most massive distance between technologies. And it mainly gets to the point that if you know something about me as a consumer logged in on a website in a retail fashion and I have a shopping cart, that technology doesn't exist in the contact center world. So how do you blend them together? And what most people do is they blend it together at the agent desktop. And our philosophy and our thought around that was that's kind of too late. And if you're doing that, you're getting the most expensive part of the contact center involved. You're the routing and everything behind that just, makes it that's just a foregone conclusion. And we said, well, why don't we change that? So we created software about 5-6 years ago to really solve that we call it C1 Fabric. And Fabric is really kind of three things. It's a data lake. It's an integration fabric is really where that comes from. And it's all the management tools to make all that work. So we can kind of overlay anybody's contact center technology, knowing that there's going to be a CRM or an EHR, any other form of data store, right? Because that's where the customer is, right? The only thing that's going to be in the contact center is a phone number, an email address, an SMS number. That's the ingress point of knowing where they came from. But to us, it's how do we put all that together so you can have that omni-channel experience.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So as the CTO, you're tracking all the key market trends. Is it all about AI and Gen AI, or are there other trends around transforming agent experiences, customer experiences? You must be following quite a lot at the moment.
Yeah. 23 was generative AI and nothing else. If anybody's played around with obviously all the tools out there, it was an interesting year of education and understanding. Both self-educating and then helping educate others on really what it is and what it can do. It's interesting because it was our ability to really kind of join in that space in a different way because AI is nothing new to us. We were doing natural language processing, natural language understanding back in the 90s. Conversational AI has been around for quite a while. We've been using pretty much every element of that, whether it's, Dialogflow's a toolkit or, your live person of Amo core, all of those as well. But what Gen AI really kind of pivoted us on is now we have a capability of using both Fabric as well as what we have. Our AI is called Ellie. I can talk more about that if we want to get into that. But Ellie really is, a form of AI that is a platform or a service that's really delivered around that AI that really is both a data platform and an AI platform. Because the thing we noted in 23 very quickly was, and Gartner defined this too in the fall at Symposium, that 4% of CIOs have AI or said they have AI ready data. So 96% of our customers don't have AI ready data. So why am I talking to them about AI? It's fun and it's cool and it would be something fancy to talk about, but I can't apply it to them. So that's where we said, look, with Fabric, we have the capability to build a data lake for you, manage it, have all the integration points. Because by the way, the second thing that Gartner also found was those that are the most advanced in AI lack integration capabilities, or even if they can integrate, they don't know how to operationalize it, right? It's to stitch two APIs together, put some software in the middle. I can do that proof concept. You can do it demo lab, but to get it into production where you're cranking 2 million calls a month through it with zero downtime and 5 nines and all that, that's the hard part, right? So as we look to bring Ellie to market, it is a Gen AI platform supporting conversational AI. Obviously, we've got all the other forms of AI and ML to do different things. But our purpose really around it, you kind of see behind me, it's elevating the connected human experience. That's where Ellie comes from, the elevating. And as we brought Ellie to life last year, the first job, we say that Ellie has jobs, not use cases. The first job that Ellie did was our open enrollment. So it was a chat bot, and it went in and would answer questions on, what should I sign up for? What does this mean? Did I miss anything? What if my 25-year-old child turns 26 mid-year? What do I do? And everything that we could throw at it, which is a perfect litmus test for us to understand, okay, how does this really work? How do we deal with the major problems of hallucinations, toxicity, wrong answers, all that? And so what we've done is from about a year ago to today, really been working on what we call HX, the human experience. And, having Ellie as a platform has allowed us to, really take on any kind of use case with any, whether it's a healthcare, with our customers, finance, and really bring that use case to life in a way that really works. And that's, I think, the big missing piece with generative AI right now is that everybody thought I could just pull it out of the box, I could apply it, I could throw some documentation at it, and now it's going to give me all these great answers, because ChatGPT gives you an answer, right? Every time you ask a question, it gives you an answer. But again, if you're asking a question that you don't know the answer to, do you even know if it's fact and all that? So a lot of our work has been around that. But the other things that we've been doing that I think are kind of revolutionary is really, again, in that human experience piece, thinking about Ellie speaking as a human. So we think of a lot about Ellie's dialect, or Ellie's discourse markers are called. It's how many ums and ahs and you put in. So we're able to really tune it, and we can tune it per customer. We can tune it per phone number called. We could tune it based on kind of anything. So the thing that could be interesting is to really think about, and we played around with this. This is a weird one, but having like, we can record my voice for 30 seconds and turn Ellie into me. So I could be, so does Mark want to speak to Mark? That's a weird one, but that's what we're kind of trying to figure out is how do we, make it so human to, and if you don't know Alan Turing, you should, but the Turing test, are we getting to a point that we could actually pass that, because we don't know if we're talking to a human or a computer? So that's a lot of what Ellie's kind of goal is, and how we bring that forward.
Oh, exciting stuff. Can't wait to see some real use cases as a caller or a customer.
Yeah.
So, you talk to CIOs, CTOs, and your peers all the time, some of the biggest companies in the world. When it comes to adopting not just your technology, but AI, Gen AI in general, what are some of the biggest challenges and roadblocks that you're seeing? And, how do you see yourself overcoming those with your customers?
Yeah, trust is the first part, especially with generative AI. I think that, there's enough documentation out there and enough articles and things that we've seen where, whether it's lawyers, using, generative AI to make up case law, or not that they know they are, they don't know, right? But, or the Air Canada thing, giving the wrong answer and now putting them in a pinch to, adhere to what the bot said. Trust is obviously a big thing with generative AI. With conversational, it wasn't, but generative AI is really the trust piece. Data is the biggest hurdle by far. I mean, you can get past the trust by, hey, let's do a pilot. Let's get some out there. But the data is really the key. And I've rarely found that, when I walk into a customer and say, hey, where's your data lake? They're like, oh, it's over here. It's perfect. It's got all the data in it. It's all ready to go. Most of the time they're like, well, we've been working on it for 3 to 5 years. We've got about 3 to 5 years to go. So data is the second one. And the last one is really that integration piece. Because interestingly enough, when you're in one application, you use the database in that one application. But then when you go to this one, you're siloing all these data pieces all over the place. So people have a lot of data. They just haven't stitched it all together and put it into a data lake. And that's really what, from an integration standpoint, we have the capability now to do that and plug it into our lake.
Fantastic approach. Maybe talk a little bit about the culture and leadership side of your team. On the techie side, you have tons of geeks like us on the team. Maybe talk about that culture of innovation and excellence on the tech side that you're helping nurture. What's your idea there?
Yeah, all geeks and nerds. We love them all. I'm one as well. I think it's a difference if you like Star Trek or Star Wars, where you kind of fit in all that. But yeah, it's interesting that my team is really comprised of, I think, some of the the top developers in this industry that have been around for a long,
Oh,
long
wow.
time, 20, 30 years, right?
Mm.
A lot of us have come from, partners from the Avaya, Cisco, Genesis world where,
Hmm.
we were implementing, very, very difficult solutions back in the day, having to integrate to a lot of different things. I mean, there isn't a contact center that doesn't have 19 pieces of technology all, sitting at in a desktop, right? So making it all work 100% of the time, that's not easy. But I would say in my team, the thing that's interesting is we've opened GICC in Hyderabad, India, and so we're leveraging, bringing folks on there. So growing that substantially. I think we've got to date over 500 people there. That's mainly for support services, financial, and all that. But as my team grows, we're really focused on that as really an innovation hub for us. But yeah, I mean, across my team, that we've got an AI Center of Excellence team that is actually focused. They're not even developers, right? They're more focused on linguistics and how do people talk and how do we take Ellie and make Ellie do something that is, highly valuable to both the caller and the callee. And in that, we also, now that generative AI is kind of top of mind with everything, we're having to worry about our governance, our roles and responsibility around generative AI, our security policies, internal as well as external. So that team really focuses a lot on not writing the code per se, but actually making sure that what we're doing from an AI perspective, bringing it to us and bringing it to market is safe and responsible, ethical, the whole nine yards. And then, a lot of developers that have been with us for, some of them 20, 25 years. And so really industry experts on, all the TSAPpies, appies, tappies, JTAPpies, all the
We
things in the
love we
tech.
love 4 and 5 letter acronyms in our space.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
very exciting.
yeah. You got to make them up. In the other thing that we have that I think is a little interesting is a real focus on data, but not data in kind of how most think about it. I mean, we've been focused since about 2012 on AI ready data, which really means that it's not in a standard relational database form. It's not, how we use it in standard applications. And it's fit for purpose that we can either have unstructured with time series, collecting it that way. So that way, when you think about, machine learning jobs as an example, none of those work without time series because you have to have that, what it looked like at any point in time, like the stock market, right? And our ability now to then take that, and whether it's through our monitoring system OnGuard, which collects tremendous amounts of data, or our analytics product, which uses the same technology, but might gather call recordings and ACD data and IVR data and bot data, put it all together in one common data lake. I think that's a massive difference that we have and we've thought about because we've invested in that for 12 years. In thinking that way, that's where I see a lot of our customers kind of stuck, is that they have a system with a relational database, and that relational database is great for that one thing, but it doesn't relate to this database. So you can't just smash them together. You have to have some way to normalize and turn that into a common data lake. So that to me is, I think, a very unique thing we have on our team.
Fantastic. You work with pretty much who's who of blue chip tech companies, the
Yep.
S&P 500s of the world. Care to call out any customer stories, or I don't know, maybe asking you to pick a favorite child, but yeah, what are you seeing in terms of impact on the business, and in a world of doing more with less? What are your customers telling you about what their needs are at the moment?
Well, I'll give you my shock and awe story. I always kind of give it's entitled "You People," and that's where everybody's like, "Whoa, what are you talking about?" But it was a customer that came to us a few years ago, and they were having a problem with just analytics, call analytics. They weren't able to understand, what was really happening in their contact center. And so we said, okay, well, why don't we start taking all your recordings, transcribe them, break them down, put them in our format, the way we think about it, and really get to a point where I don't know what questions you're going to ask, because I don't think they know really. Everybody does quality monitoring, right? Your calls being recorded for quality purposes. A human being listens to it, scores 20 different questions. But we thought, well, why don't we do that differently since we have this AI, we have automation, we've got all these tools. And so we started working with this customer. And after it was probably about a year and a half, they just kept coming with use case after use case after use case. And the one that was really interesting is they said, can you tell us who's about to leave us, who's about to churn based on what they say versus what others say that stayed? So we pondered it for a while. We built a couple models, and then we finally got to one that worked really well. And we started to try to identify phrases because we break down every little phrase. So it's not the whole thing of what was said in the conversation. It's, hi, my name's Bob. Nice to meet you, Bob. My name's Mark. And, it's all those little iterations. Because we had that granular data and all the metadata we put around it, we were able to kind of look at, okay, when we pulled the Salesforce data in, we were able to say, okay, these people left. What did they say? These people stayed. What did they say? Where's the anomalies? Where's the things in between these that don't work? That's where the first phrase came out, you people. So it was interesting that we were able to identify that, and of course, many other things down the road. But at the end of the day, that was actually noted as a 4% increase in their EBITDA. So
Wow.
That's what, isn't that what everybody's after, right? Artificial intelligence, the A in artificial is lacking natural quality. That's not what people want. They want, as we talk about it, augmented. So we play with the I. It's augmented, it's actionable, or it's authentic, or it's all three, right? So authentic would be how we are going to pass the Turing test on having voices that sound just like a human in the way it interacts. We have demos we can give right now that, the bot will kind of stop and ask you how you're doing and just have a conversation with you. And it's random and it's weird, but it's very human, right? And that's where we think about that. Actionable is what I just talked about, and augmented is really where a lot of the work that we're doing with Ellie is coming out. So like we just launched Ellie Assist a couple of weeks ago. And that's our way to play with this in a different way, to say, look, it doesn't always have to be a human talking to a bot or to AI. Maybe it's just the AI's in the middle. And that's really what assist is, a caller might be talking to an agent or knowledge worker, and Ellie's in the middle feeding that agent or that, the worker side, what's going on, summarizing it, giving, possible answers to things, really kind of in a way, kind of a co-pilot way to think about it in a contact center world, right? We're going to be coming out with generative AI analytics in the fall and some new things and voice around that as well. So it's always kind of this evolution path that we're on. But again, we're trying to solve pretty macro customer problems versus, coming up with one thin use case that might work for a few months and move on. Because we don't know where generative AI is going to take us in 3 to 5 years. I think we can see maybe a year out, but we're super excited about technology, where it's going, and
Fantastic. Well, it's been fantastic getting a preview into the future, which it seems like it's arrived. So I'm not even going to ask about your vision because it's kind of here today, and just it sounds more like executing on that. What are you up for this summer? I guess you're probably not too many events in August, but I think you have a big analyst event in September. What's on your radar?
Yeah. So the wedding season's over. So we're done with all the tours with all the all of our vendors. So we have an analyst event September 24th coming up, which we'll see you there. And Gartner Symposium's coming up in October. We're definitely going to be at that event. That was a great event for us last year. I think we talked to over 1,200 people, and 1,200 to 10,000. That's 12%, right? That's a good number there. Had a good couple speaking engagements that worked well, but there'll be a couple more events that come. But that the September 24th and the Gartner Symposium are two major ones coming up, and then we will keep releasing different versions of Ellie software, Fabric, some of the things we're doing. So you'll see consistent announcements coming out about that. We don't necessarily want to stick to a strict, summer, winter, fall kind of thing, but we know this fall there's a few things that are coming up that we think are going to be pretty exciting. And Ellie Voice is going to be one of them. Being able to get different dialects and voices, and kind of getting that human local flavor to it.
Fantastic. Well, congrats on all the success, onwards and upwards, and enjoy the summer. It's a great time up in Minnesota as it is here in Boston. Our time to
Absolutely.
thrive. So enjoy it, and thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Evan. Appreciate it.
Take care.